right now I'm doing strats and structuring at Barclays. For those who don't know, structuring is kind of not so well known in sales and trading field in investment banking. It's kind of a mix between the two, where essentially a salesperson promotes a product to clients, a trader manages the risk of those products, and the structurer is the one who comes up with how those products are made, how the risk is managed. So, and it also involves promoting these products to clients. So it's kind of like in between less well-known field in sales and trading. So last year I did an internship, a summer internship at Barclays, which is how I secured my return offer for full-time. So I'll talk a bit about what I did last year during my trading summer internship, and also perhaps what I'm doing right now. So last year I did 2 rotations for my trading internship. Both were on foreign exchange. The first one was for forwards, and what I did there was mainly every day I would do a project. I would work on a project. Since interns aren't allowed to trade themselves, once in a while we would be asked to generate ideas for the traders. The project I worked on was based on predicting a certain Chinese money index in order to help the trader who traded renminbi help him with his day-to-day activities. I built a model to predict what the future fixing was going to be, and yeah, that pretty much took up the whole rotation. So it was a pretty in-depth project. My second rotation was on options, and as you know, options is a bit more technical, so it took me a bit of time to get to speed in terms of the technical aspects. And then what I did afterwards was more miscellaneous tasks. I didn't really do a project this time, but I spent more time talking to the team, finding out what they did day to day. Many people might think that an investment banking internship has to be very intense, work very, very hard. And while that's true to some extent, of course, you're expected to work hard and spend a lot of time networking with people. I think this depends on the bank. So, for instance, Barclays is more chilled out. You're more expected to work at your own pace and talk to them. So, as of right now, I just recently finished my training, and I joined my desk for only about 2 weeks. And so far, I've just been really learning. As you know, we're working from home now. So every day I get on a call with my colleagues, and they would give me tasks to do, mainly pricing products and giving me some reading material. And in the future, I'll perhaps be doing more pricing, a bit more talking to clients. Clients would perhaps say, oh, we want to do this product, and then they might ask me to show a price, or they might say, oh, we have this problem, want you to resolve, and it would be our responsibility to come up with a structure that supports that to the tailored to their needs as much as possible, which is why we're called structure. So yeah, that's the day-to-day of my career. So I'll talk a bit about why I got into this role. So again, I studied maths, but I wasn't too interested in becoming a mathematician. I didn't want to go into academia. So that left only a couple of options, because if you want to do a role which is quite heavily mathematically orientated, that is not too academic, you're kind of left with things like actuary, the science. But I also wanted to make sure I learned broad enough skills. I didn't want to be, confined within just STEM and maths. And I knew that some roles were more suited for like to apply these problem-solving skills, and that kind of left consulting and investment banking. In the end, I chose investment banking, and sales and trading is kind of more suited traditionally towards STEM students. I wasn't exactly so I didn't choose sales because I felt managing risk and reacting to market news and immediately making qualitative evaluations suited me more, which is why I went for trading. Um, and during my internship, I found out about structuring, which is kind of in between and even more mathematically inclinated than trading. So I ended up picking structuring. Yeah, structuring is very interesting. I encourage people who don't know about it to take the time to do a bit of research because it really is underrepresented in finance. Um, okay, next I'll talk a bit about where I see myself in the future. I think I think investment banking is a more volatile industry than the average industry. So if you go into another sector, you might expect to work for 5 to 10 years in the same company. Uh, that would be more normal. But in investment banking, uh, is not especially in sales and trading. I guess sales and trading is moving roles is less common than say IBD, but moving roles is still more common than the typical. I personally see myself perhaps working for, depending on how much I like the role, depending on how much I feel like the team fits. I think for minimum, I'll be working in this role for at least 2 years. 2 years is the standard minimum. If you move for 2 years, it's kind of too quick if it's your first job. But more likely, probably 5 to 10 years. And afterwards, my transition to buy side, something like a hedge fund. Yeah, that's like a more, that's like a very natural career transition. Also very common for sales and trading, structuring as well, of course. So yeah, 5 to 10 years, I see myself either climbing the career ladder still at Barclays. Perhaps I would have switched to a different investment bank, or perhaps I would have just buy something. It's really, who knows? The offer I secured in my penultimate year was, so obviously in my penultimate year I applied for lots of internships. In the end, I secured some internship for Barclays in London, also Credit Suisse in that's also for trading. I decided to go for Barclays because I felt that since I come from Hong Kong, internship in London would give choices available. So I also have the option to return to Hong Kong. I thought that's what I thought. And that year, because of um, various economic factors, uh, the hiring at Barclays and perhaps across all investment banks was stricter than usual. So less people were given return offers than usual. But I think I did pretty well in my internship, and I managed to secure a return offer for full time, which is why I did this role right. Okay, next I'll talk a bit about the interview. Uh, I think it's very important to establish that if you have made it to interview, um, then probably most people who have made it to interview have ticked many boxes, right? So they've done their research, they have prepared thoroughly for the standard questions like talk about your CV, uh, why do you want to do this role, uh, and whatnot. So it really is important to, first of all, you have to do the minimum. You have to tick those boxes, prepare thoroughly for what is expected. What you go beyond that is how you stand out. So um, the Barclays interview, which is the assessment center, so-called Super Day, is very interesting. So we had a couple of fun tasks, like we had a trading simulation, which involves being split up into different teams and simulating the environment of a trading day. So in those tasks, you have to stand out by thinking quick on your feet and just not panicking. Like it's more it's better to make a mistake and be confident about your reasoning rather than being unconfident about yourself and accidentally being right or something like that. So you have to show that you're confident. I think that's very important. Going on to the interviews, I think uh, many people know that the most important thing about your application is you have to have that story. And I definitely think that's the case. You need to have a narrative of why you decided to enter this industry. It needs to flow very naturally, and then uh, make sure you know your basic knowledge. So for sales and trading, they might ask you, where's Nasdaq, where's Dow Jones, where's the Apple stock, something like that, depending on what role you're applying. And you should know these off the top of your head. Make sure you thoroughly research your company. So for instance, Barclays is very passionate about its 5 values, which things like respect, integrity, service, excellence, stewardship. Make sure you know these. For other companies, make sure you research their values, what they value. The best thing would be if you have gone to career talks or networking sessions, being able to say like, oh, I met with this person and they told me how the culture is very friendly, suits juniors, then that's even better. So that's being able to say things like that is much better than saying, oh, Barclays or Goldman is the #1 bank in the world, because everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. But being able to say, oh, I met with this person during a networking session, and they gave me this advice. They told me that the bank has this kind of atmosphere, and I think that matches with my personality the most is much more powerful. So yeah, I think, and also prepare for brain teasers if you're doing sales and trading, which that's just something it won't be too difficult. So yeah, I think those are the most important. Having a good narrative, having names of people you have to talk to, and preparing for brain teasers, and also being confident. These are the most important elements, I would say. So some tips for the people who want to enter investment banking, especially sales and trading. I would say sales and trading, of course, is along with IBD one of the main front office roles that people. Sales and trading is like, don't walk into sales and trading thinking that oh, I'm not going to be working as long hours as IBD, and therefore it's going to be an easy role. So first of all, we need to get it clear that yes, the working hours will be shorter, but the intensity will be higher. So make sure you're not blindly going into this field. Also keep in mind, like, knowing what you're getting into is very important. So do your research. Everyone who is applying for investment banking will be very motivated. You'll be competing with most motivated bunch of job seekers. Sales and trading is very result oriented. So if you're not a person who can handle stress, if you're not a person who can produce results consistently, then this might not be the role for you. And make sure you know what you want to do. So if like talking to people, like promoting things, if you have a knack for convincing people, then sales is definitely your trader reacting to market put under high stress at lots of times. The whole day will be glued to the computer screen most of the time, and just handling risk a lot. So you won't have much spare time during. I think just knowing what you're getting into is the most important part for investment banking, since it's such a high intensity, high reward field. Don't Many people burn out after a couple of years because they didn't know what they were getting into. So don't be one of those people, I guess. Yeah, and I guess I'll also talk a bit about how HK Careers helped me get to where I am now. I found out about HK Careers through my friends in my penultimate year. Back then, I I started late in my thinking about my career. So I didn't do much during my first year. I didn't do anything like uh, joining clubs or start crafting my application. So I was quite behind in my second. I only had an internship under my belt, and of course I was at an elite university, but obviously that isn't. So panicked a bit, but luckily some of my friends recommended HK Careers to me, and I joined their program, and it was really helpful in just getting me up to speed. So first of all, HK Careers set me up with a CV session. So polishing your CV is very important, obviously, because it's like something you can 100% determine before your application. If you have a good CV, you know that's going to get you through the first stages. You know that's going to get you to those online assessments. So yeah, HK Careers made sure um, my CV was good. They improved my CV a lot. My CV was horrible in the first year, which is perhaps why I didn't do so well previously. So after my CV was polished, HK Careers gave me a lot of resources. So whenever I received like online test invitation, they would share me the relevant uh, online assessment material and resources. Those were extremely helpful. I think I got through pretty much every single online assessment pretty easily just because HK Careers shared the relevant resources. So if you're with HK Careers, I would say they would pretty much guarantee you can get to the interview stage. Um, and for the interview, um, they would give very detailed advice as to like, oh, what is this company looking for? What are the questions you should prepare? For instance, they had like a document of 40 something questions that you should just be able to answer, straight off the bat. And that was very important because uh, everybody is expected to do that, but having someone just tell you what questions you're supposed to answer immediately is just very good. Of course, you can find these resources online, but I think HK Careers is more tailored. And they also, although I didn't end up using, the resources such as assessment center prep and interview, mock interviews that much, they were definitely there at all times to support. So for instance, if I had a question even in UK time at which is Hong Kong midnight, they would still get back to me very quickly. I would say obviously it's still up to you, um, mainly, but HK Careers just offers you that, that that uh, certainty and guarantee that at least you will get to the interview stage. Um, and I think HK Careers will guarantee you will get at least. I think they have a stat like no one just has no offers or something. Yeah, I think they will guarantee will get at least a decent offer, which is very good for your mental preparation. You're not going in there scared like, oh, I'm afraid I'm not going to get any jobs this year, because they're there to help you at all times. So yeah, I think HK Careers has been very helpful and and for a very reasonable payback. So definitely recommend.